man. I love Jack Godar at center. You talked about Hornback in-house, and they're like, I look at them as like, they're like the law firm, right? The Hornback in-house law firm, which has a great ring to it. But I also look at them as like, they're St. James's like VIP package, right? Like, if they're in the VIP section, you have to get through their bouncer, which is Jack Godar. He is the doorman, and man, he's been terrific.
Hello and welcome to the Verbal Commitment Podcast here on the Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Kevin Flaherty. I'm here as always with my good friend Ryan Wallace, and we're talking about the world of local recruiting, from Kansas and Kansas City prospects to the college classes at Kansas, Kansas State, and Missouri. Ryan and I chose well this week as we saw Rocco Marriott score a touchdown with 2 seconds left to help Platte County top a game Rockhurst squad 29-22. We'll have breakdowns from that game, along with interviews with Marriott, who's currently committed to James Madison, but could have a school sneaking in there a little bit. Kansas commitment Jack Oots and South Dakota State commitment Cale Buntz, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. If you like what you're hearing, comment below, tell your friends about us, subscribe, hit that like button, or leave us a review, a 5-star rating, wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple or Spotify. We have our own specific audio channel through KCSN on Apple and Spotify, so you can seek us out there. As always, we appreciate you guys helping us to grow and getting us in front of more people like you. Ryan, with the new setup, can we get an alarm?
Yeah, we'll get this set up in a little bit better shape, but for now, work in progress. But the alarm lives.
There it goes. It is going. For those of you new to the show, an alarm means that a player committed this week to either Kansas, Kansas State, or Missouri, and in this case,
drum roll,
it's the Tigers adding to the class with athlete Jaden McGregory from Valley High School in West Des Moines, Iowa. Ryan, what are the Tigers getting in the former Louisville commitment?
Yeah, well, this is actually a name that's familiar to me. I want to say I saw him at a K-State camp. And if not, if my memory is inaccurate, I definitely remember watching his tape because he was somebody that, gosh, I think KU offered, K-State offered, Missouri offered early. He was for a while the number one player in the state of Iowa. Really good athlete, multi-sport background, but I think he fits in great in this Missouri secondary. Let's be honest, he could have played it at Louisville, no doubt about it, but like with his athletic profile, it makes sense why the SEC would be appealing to him, why a defense that is so, as ball hockey, is that can I use that word? We're going to run with it as Missouri's is. I think this is a really nice fit. A player that, is a kind of got a free safety feel to him, and I think in a pinch he could probably play even a little nickel if you needed him to. So really like this pickup for the Tigers. I think he fits their profile of what they like in the secondary for sure.
With McGregory's commitment, Missouri now has 22 commitments in a class ranked number 23 nationally, according to 24/7 Sports. Speaking of 24/7 Sports, congratulations to Great Bend tight end Ian Premer, who earned his 5th star in the network's rankings, making him the 3rd Kansan to earn his 5th star in the last 2 classes. Of course, Andrew Babalola, Blue Valley Northwest, and Goodland's Lincoln Cure had 5-star rankings in last year's class. Well-deserved for Ian, who's headed to Notre Dame, is having a terrific season. But Ryan, I also think it's an example of the growing confidence that people have in the most talented players in our region. Prior to last year, Kansas hadn't ever had a player earn a 5-star rating on 24/7 Sports. Of course, Bryce Brown came in the class before 24/7 released its first rankings in 2010. But still, last year, you had the first 5 stars. This year, Kansas adding another one in Ian Premer.
Well, and I know just kind of from talking to Ian on Wednesday after this was announced, like how excited he is about it, but excited not just because people are tuned in and taking notice of his development in his senior year, but what you said, I think these guys, whether it's Andrew Babalola, whether it's Lincoln Cure, Ian Premer, they take pride in representing for the state of Kansas and putting Kansas as a whole on the map. And, you know, I know we've talked to Ian before about it. He's hoping that this carries on for a Cooper Omott, for a Gus Corsair, guys in the WAC, outside of the WAC. So I'm happy for Ian, but I'm also really happy that, you know, because of guys like him and Lincoln Cure, like I think the national conversation is starting to trend towards, is there anybody in Kansas? Whereas in the past, when you and I started, it was more of, there can't be anybody in Kansas, or like, I don't even know, even if we would probably be lucky to even have them talk about Kansas in that light. And now it's like, gosh, we can't ignore Kansas anymore. We can't ignore KC anymore. So that is what excites me about this trend. And, you know, even if there might not be somebody in this next class, again, I think we're seeing the trend of, we're not going to have to wait a while, or as long as we did for these three for that fourth.
Yeah. And I think it wasn't that long ago that the Jace Reuter class happened, where there wasn't even a 4-star in the state of Kansas. And I think now Kansas is starting to get its due quite a bit more. In addition to Ian, who's now ranked 21st nationally, Manhattan's J.J. Dunnigan moved up a few spots to number 92, entrenching his spot in the top 100. He recently committed to Miami.
And he's a safety now.
Safety now.
Bravo. They got that right.
Kansas commitment, Caden Snyder, Salina Central, and uncommitted Derby offensive guard Maxwell Robinson kept their 4-star rankings, while Blue Valley West Lawson McGraw, a Kansas State commitment, jumped up to a 4-star rating as well. Now, let's go ahead and get into our Tacos for Life Player of the Week. Tacos for Life has a wide variety of options to choose from in their fresh scratch kitchen in locations in 8 states, including right here in Kansas in Overland Park, with catering and food truck options available as well. For those parents, make sure to dine in for the $1.99 kids meal after 4. And for every taco, rice bowl, salad, quesadilla, or nachos that you enjoy, a meal is donated to Feed My Starving Children on a meal-for-meal basis. Those meals are then shipped to more than 90 countries, to feeding centers, care points, orphanages, schools, and refugee camps. The Overland Park location has given out more than 736,000 meals over 3 years, while Tacos for Life as a whole has donated nearly 43 million meals. It's a great cause, and you can help just by doing what we all know and love, chowing down on some great tacos. Each week, we'll pick a Tacos for Life Metro Player of the Week. This week's pick is Bishop Miege defensive tackle Devyn Davis. Ryan, we've liked Devyn for quite a while, but he had a tough task this past week going up against a physical Eudora offensive line, and he was all over the place. He made an impact with his quickness and speed in Miege's 52-21 victory.
I think we highlighted Devyn coming out of the KC Varsity Combine, if I'm not mistaken, and that was where he kind of initially caught our attention. And then he gets into the regular season, only plays 6.5 regular season games early on, kind of sidelined with an injury. And we'll talk to him maybe a little bit about his comeback, right? Because it has been a comeback, and you mentioned it. You see the playoff highlights of Devyn Davis, and I wrote in my notes, he erupts to disrupt. There is some burst there. He plays with great leverage. I think he has really good bend too, in the way that he can kind of feel the way that an offensive lineman is going, and can kind of get to that backside or to their weak side with ease. He's a captain and the type of player that I think really pumps the defensive blood. He's the barometer for Bishop Miege, and when Devyn Davis is playing well, it'll boost the electricity in all of the Stags on that line of scrimmage, and probably it helps the offense as well. Winners of 4 in a row on the road now, and I mean, they've handled an athletic Tongi team, an athletic Atchison team on the road, and then they go and hold Eudora at home to just 21 points. They're the winners now, he and John Holmes, of 7 road playoff wins. Their only playoff loss on the road in the last 2 years was in the state championship game last year against Andover Central, and they nearly got that done. So really excited to watch Devyn and the Bishop Miege Stags go on the road yet again. And this is a big match for him. They go down to Labette County. He'll take on a senior, Michael Reed, 6'3", 260-pound offensive lineman really good matchup. And I would imagine that they are embracing again this role of wearing that target on their back that every Bishop Miege team does, but doing so again as they did last year as road warriors. And Devyn Davis is definitely leading that charge.
And here is our Tacos for Life Metro Player of the Week. Devyn, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Devyn, one of the things that jumps off the tape just immediately is your motor, the way you get after guys and you don't take snaps off. I'm wondering, where does that come from with you?
I mean, it really starts in practice. Every day, every practice, we work on our get-offs. And, it's the simplest things, in my opinion, or in Coach Key and Coach Ray's opinion. Those are our D-line coaches. Opinion is our get-off and our motor. And all practice, we preached. Every practice, we preach. If you have a good get-off, then you should get through easy, and everything should come off quick and easy. So that's why I work on it so much.
Devyn, I mentioned before you joined us that I think you were sidelined a little bit this senior year in the regular season. Is that right? With some kind of small injury, right? But now you're back. Are we seeing if we flipped on the playoff tape and you're like an animal out there? Like, it's like, were you kind of like itching to get back? And now we're finally seeing like how eager you were to throw some linemen around?
Oh, in my 4 years in Miege, I've never missed a varsity football game. And so, like, me sitting out the second half of Blue Valley North game and the whole Blue Valley game, that, like, it just made me so angry. I'm not going to lie. It just, like, made me miss the game even more. And just whenever I got back out there against Atchison, of course, I was wearing that big club after surgery. But I don't know what happened or, like, what got lit under me, but I just feel like a whole new player now. And shout out to Dr. Key and all of them for getting me back on the field so quick, but I've never felt better right now, football-wise.
I think the first time we talked about you on the show was coming off of the Casey Varsity Combine, and we're talking about you now coming off the Eudora game, and the reason I draw, sort of that parallel there is Casey Varsity, you're going up against a lot of the best offensive linemen in the city, in the area. Eudora has a terrific offensive line, a big part of the reason for their success. Do you kind of get a little bit extra motivated when the lights turn on a little bit brighter in those sorts of situations where you have a chance to kind of show out against some players that you have a lot of respect for and that are really good players in their own right?
No, yeah, of course. I mean, walking out on the field Friday night when it wasn't even the first quarter hadn't even started yet and it was already dark. And you could look around and see that the stands were full on both sides and there's standing room around the fence along the sideline. It got me in that mode. Like you gotta be great in this situation. You gotta show out for the people here. You gotta show out for the Miege community, and you gotta show out for your coaches. You know what I mean? And I don't know, just like situations like that in my experience in varsity football, I just feel like I was comfortable in that situation as well. I feel like that's one of my advantages. Like, I'm very comfortable after going through this for 4 years now. But yeah, that's mainly the main thing.
Devyn, I think everybody knows it's public knowledge that once we get into the 4A playoffs, like, it doesn't matter who the opponent is. When they see Miege on the bracket, like, you guys wear a target on your back throughout the entire bracket. Yeah. And so it's one thing to wear that pressure, but it's also another to then go on the road and get the job done on the road. What is the secret to having success as a high school football team on the road away from home? Because you guys got a long road trip coming up this Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our secret, I mean, it's just believing in ourselves. I mean, obviously we have a really, really, really tough regular season. Like, every week is tough. Every week feels like a playoff game, in our opinion, or like a state championship caliber team. Going from St. James week 1, Southwest week 2, West week 3, all the way to Pius and the Aquinas, Rockhurst, like, all great teams, all teams that did stuff in the playoffs or will do stuff and they're still going in the playoffs. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's helped us so much, getting our confidence up, and then giving us experience as well. Last year, going to Cardinal Ritter, 4 hours whichever way towards New York, east, 4 hours east, to St. Louis to play them, giving us that experience, and then being road dogs again last year, all playoffs. I mean, I just feel like we're very prepared, we're very comfortable. I feel like we can go into any stadium and make it ours. I mean, we're very comfortable, very confident team as we are at right now. So
we love to give guys a chance to shout out their teammates. Who's somebody that's playing really well for Miege right now that maybe might be flying under the radar, or you feel like more people need to pay attention to?
Yeah, I mean, number one, I'll start defensively with our middle linebacker, Daniel Nina. If we didn't have him, we wouldn't have our defense. He tells me where to go pretty much every play. And so yeah, Daniel, he is a big help. He has stepped up for us. You know, we've always had great middle linebackers at Miege. And then like sophomore wise, corner Keenan Polson, linebacker Carter O'Connor. They've been great as well, stepping up. They started out rough, but they stepped up as well. Offensively, I mean, our whole O-line, if I'm going to be honest, like the whole O-line has shifted since Max Long Sr. Tore his, I forgot what he tore in his knee, but he tore up his knee and he's out for the season. And then Zach Molman, the junior, he'll be back next year, but he had surgery on his foot. So like Josh Lopez stepping up, becoming our new center. And then our two tackles, Patrick Lynch and Jack Tumlin, they both stepped up for us as well. And then also Michael Blount. I mean, I have to throw out Michael Blount. He's our guy. Him, Jaden McDaniels, Landon Cole. I could shout out the whole team. I mean, I don't know. We're just a great group of guys. I mean, and we're all talented. So I can't just single out everyone, you know.
Last but not least, Devyn, I also want to give you a chance to kind of shout out and praise two coaches in particular. Coach Holmes is one of our favorites here on the show. What is it like to play for him? Just kind of a legend in the area. What makes him so special as a head coach? And then also a shout out to my KU friend and the box over that way, Ben Heaney, your defensive coordinator, former Jayhawk linebacker. What's it been like playing for him as well?
So we'll start with Coach Holmes. Having a head coach all 4 years, not having to have a deal with like a head coach change has been really big for me. My relationship with him, I just feel like I can relate to him and talk to him in any way. And I feel like that's just like a great thing for a coach. He knows when to love on us and he also knows when to get on us. If we're not having a great Tuesday or Wednesday practice, he'll make that known and make sure the scout team is doing their job, make sure the 1D is doing their job. And just the way he leads us in these playoff rounds, getting us ready for these road games, it's just something it's remarkable in my opinion to get us all in that good mindset. Because obviously the coaches can only do so much, but to get the seniors and the juniors to help out the sophomores and freshmen, you know, it's just amazing what he can do for us. And then Coach Heaney, with his experience and his knowledge of the game, it's just insane to me. Like, he's the first-year defensive coordinator. He was our linebackers coach last year. And just some of the defenses we were running is just insane, in my opinion. Like, in the Eudora game, I had no clue that what he drew up was going to get me to get free, like, basically every play. You know what I mean? Like, he gives us the tools to let us use our abilities so we can succeed in the games. And just the way he pushes us in the film room, or starting at the film room, then the classroom, then just in the hall or in the locker room before, making sure, telling Daniel never gets a free break in the locker room. Coach Heaney is always talking to him about either formations, where he wants them, new stuff, old stuff, literally everything. Football is always on his mind, and I think that's really helped us as well. So big shout out to those two.
Well, Devyn, as our Player of the Week, we'll be sending you and all of our future Tacos for Life Metro Player of the Week picks a gift card to enjoy the tacos at Tacos for Life.
Perfect. I love food, and everyone in my school knows I love food, so I will never say no to food, and I appreciate it so much.
Awesome. Well, we will be right back on the Verbal Commitment Podcast after this.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned to what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Enterprise because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity because you won't be disappointed and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
Welcome back to the Verbal Commitment Podcast. You can follow along with us on Twitter/X at verbalcommit_KC for clips from the show, conversations about local players, and even the odd highlight. And calling all Chiefs fans, you could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss of the Chiefs home game this season. Visit chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Ryan, we had a terrific game this past week with Rockhurst throwing a real scare into Platte County before the Pirates were able to pull out a 29-22 victory. A lot of standouts on both sides. So where do you want to start?
I kind of want to start with Rockhurst.
Yeah, let's do it.
That was quite a performance from the Hawklets.
It was. I think when you looked at that Rockhurst team, I kind of felt like Platte County a year ago, right? And I realized that Platte County got the state title a year ago. But even so, we were looking at Platte County a year ago saying, well, gosh, this is a team full of juniors. and they're having that sort of success. I think at some point, you and I kind of looked at each other on that sideline watching Rockhurst play so well and saying, most of these guys are back next year.
Yeah. I mean, that was the take leading into the game. On my long-winded preview last week, one of the things I mentioned was that very fact, which is, hey, at the end of the day, this is a very senior-driven Platte County team that's kind of been down this road versus a Rockhurst team that's relying a bunch on, not just juniors, sophomores, freshmen. So to see them come out the way that they did was surprising. But also maybe wasn't as surprising the fact that maybe they took their foot off the gas because again, I'm sure Kelly Donahoe was like, hey, like now you guys know, like when you get to this stage, you have to finish the job. But that is going to be a very, very scary roster a year from now because they gave this Platte County team, which many, many people, and I think we would be among them, would consider one of, if not the best all around unit outfit in the Kansas City Metro. And let me just kind of start as we quickly dive into some players here.
Sure.
When it comes to Rockhurst, Cash Lewandowski delivers time and time again. And again, the thing that's so incredible about him is you see what he does on offense, and then he comes over, maybe gets a quick breath of air, a swig of water, and he's back out there as a linebacker, intercepting passes. One of the ones of the two that Rocco Marriott threw, the two interceptions, one, I think he kind of floated a ball, but the other, I actually don't blame Rocco for because Cash Lewandowski looked like a jack in the box. Like he popped out. I was like, I didn't know he had that kind of leap. He was tremendous. And Blake Thomas was unbelievable. Harvard got a steal there because, if it wasn't, I think for him kind of seemed like maybe he was dealing with a cramp or some tightness in the second half. He was uncorking on that Platte County secondary early and often.
How about a guy like Garrett Miller, who was taking his lumps and everything, and then throws that absolute rope for a touchdown to put Rockhurst up late? And I bring that up only to say, Ryan, obviously Kevin Sullivan is really good, and Rockhurst is going to miss Kevin Sullivan as he goes off to Kansas. But next year, you're going to have Garrett Miller back, handing the ball off to Cash Lewandowski and throwing to Blake Thomas and Tristan Johnson, right? Like all those.
Correct. And yeah,
that's terrifying.
Yeah. And Miller exceeded my expectations. He threw some absolute darts, wasn't playing with his entire kind of what, Rockhurst going into the season, what their starting line was going to be, with Sprague getting injured. And I'm not sure if O'Farrell played like the entirety of the season either at times. So good news is they got to work in some more younger guys that can compete next year. But yeah, I mean, Garrett Miller, the way that he operated, the way that he commanded, early on, he looked more the senior, right? Like things were going his way early on. But yeah, I thought he showed tremendous poise and command, even in the second half, late in that game when things were really getting away from Rockhurst, again on a 4th and had to have it, and he got it and then some. So yeah, again, you have to hang your head if you're Rockhurst, because you had Platte County on the ropes and didn't finish. But at the same time, again, I would hope that if you were on that Rockhurst team, if you're a Rockhurst fan, you woke up the next day itching for the 2026 season to kick off, because you've got a lot to be looking forward to next season.
Well, speaking of Platte County being on the ropes, Rockhurst touchdown on that 4th and had to have it like 75 yards, put them up 22-21. And you and I are talking, all right, now Rocco Marriott's got the ball with about 1:40 left. What can this kid do? And I was so impressed, because Rocco wasn't Rocco to start this game.
No.
He struggled. He threw a couple interceptions, maybe even got down on himself a little bit. But once you saw, sort of the touchdown pass that he threw, that was a little bit of a jump ball that he let Christopher go up and go get. Rocco came back with a vengeance, wound up running for over 100 yards in this game, even though he wasn't at his best as a thrower for the entire game. Came away so impressed by his ability to respond to adversity as much as the physical talents, which we knew about.
We talked about this with Coach Oots after the game when we were down on the field during a lengthy post game, as it should have been. And we all were kind of in agreement that, like, you got to see Rocco Marriott's career encapsulated into one game. You got to see the first half Rocco where things were not going well. And he was very upset at himself, which you guys can see in our post-game interview still to come on this very show. I think it'd be easy for a lot of guys that kind of have his kind of ranking now and the way that he's thought of around that community to say, like, look what I did at the end, and kind of puff your chest out. And he was very much the opposite. I loved seeing that. Yeah. He was like, no, I can't play like that and expect to win. Like, he was proud that they got the win, but he was very down on himself in a healthy way, though. But I say about his career, because first half, when things were going down, this kind of sounds cruel and sick for you guys like you and me to admit, but like, I'm watching Rocco on the sideline.
Yeah.
In a way, you're kind of like, okay, like, I like this. Now I get to see what this kid's made of, like how far he's really come. And he proved it to us. We got to see sophomore year Rocco, this kind of like trying to force the issue, trying to play some hero ball. Some things weren't going wrong, wide-eyed, like a little living on the edge, right? Then we got into the early second half and things started clicking, and he kind of gets in a rhythm, and you start to see playmaking Rocco, and you start to see a little bit of that kind of cockiness isn't the right word, but that confidence, right? Yep. Like, I can do this. And then late in the game, especially on that final drive, I thought that shifted into senior year Rocco, which was give me the ball. Like, and again, not in a confident way. It was a calm demeanor the poise, the presence, the command. It was, yes, like, let's get here, Braden out here. Like, I got this. We got to see every bit of Rocco, and you got to see what is making Rocco Marriott the 4-star quarterback, the Platte County legend that he is. And here's the other thing, Kevin, as I send it back, is I feel like it would be so easy for quarterbacks to, again, this has worked all year, and continue to ride with the arm, right? Yeah. And I thought it showed a lot of maturity for Rocco to just say, and I'm sure the play call started to lean this way too, but just to start to realize, like, he changed his pocket demeanor. It went from being the count in his head of 1, 2, 3, 4, oh crap, to 1, 2. And now I got to do something. Like, you saw him change mentally and go, if I can't win this game with my arm, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to try and force it. I'm going to win it with my legs. And again, I can't say enough quality things about, the person that Rocco is and the player that he's become, because again, his development, his maturity shines so bright through this game.
Well, I remember you and I being down in the Wichita area and watching some quarterback named Avery Johnson and getting a chance at a late drive, and we were on that Mays sideline. And the guys who weren't getting to play, right? Like the JV kids that are standing on the sidelines, they're like, we got that. Like, Avery's got this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you felt that from Platte County with Rocco as well, where it wasn't, oh man, we're down 1, whatever. It was, yeah, Rocco's, he's got this. And so even with the struggles in the first half, and he had rebounded from that point, but I do think that it says a lot to see the way that your teammates perceive you, and the way that they perceived Rocco in that moment wasn't, well, gosh, he hasn't had his best game, I don't know what's going to happen here. It was like, all right, like, Rocco's got us here. And I think that was good to see as well. Jack Oots probably a little more fluid than I thought he would be as a route runner, and did some good things. Brooks Hall, I thought impressive as we thought he would be. But the other guy I wanted to mention really quickly, and we've talked about, Baskerville and Braden Stevens and all these different guys at Platte County, Gisler. Cale Buntz was tremendous, Ryan, on Friday night.
Yeah, I will say, like, first with Oots, I know if you go back, I was one that was saying, like, maybe he could be an offensive tackle. I'm very quickly backtracking on that one. I do love him as a blocker, though. Like, I love what he can be as a blocker. I do think he's a little bit more fluid. Probably an off night from Brooks Hall, probably an off night from Braden Stevens, probably an off night from Trace Baskerville. But I think, knowing their body of work, you give them that benefit of the doubt. Rockhurst had a really good game plan. You're not going to have it every single night. But again, that's why you have Ty Christopher. That's why you have Adam Gisler and Rocco Marriott's feet that can kind of bail you out when you need it. So I would expect those guys to come back with a vengeance the rest of the way. But getting to the defense, man, Cale Buntz, this is a kid that, again, I was high on in the offseason. And kind of the word and the verbiage that I kept kind of getting back from, insiders was like, when this starts to click for this kid, when, everything comes together, when he has a chance to really develop his body and he really finds his fit, which we now know will be South Dakota State, like, he could erupt. And saw him erupt against a quality Rockhurst offensive line. I thought it wasn't just about his get off and his length. Like, he was reading plays, right? He was chasing down the backside, where just because you were flushed out and you were Rockhurst did not mean that you were out of harm's way, right? Going away from him. He was a headhunter, and was just, I thought he was the difference in the second half as much as Carlos Baskerville made an impact, I thought, in the first half. Yeah. Look, that Platte County defense, that game could have gotten away big time from Platte County's offense in the first half, and that defense rose to the occasion. We all talk about the headlines that the offense makes. Cale Buntz and Carlos Baskerville, I hope that they were given, pizza after the game, pancakes next morning. Like, they needed the red carpet treatment from the rest of their team and the coaching staff, because they were tremendous. Cannot wait to watch Cale Buntz produce in the Missouri Valley next year, because I think he could have the opportunity to get on the field early if he just kind of puts his mind down, develops that body, and does what he did against Rockhurst. He will be a hard kid to deny some playing time up in South Dakota.
Well, Ryan, just real quick, it is a good thing for us that Platte County was able to pull that out, because it kept the state title pick of ours alive. And when you look back at it, not so great for my side. Ryan's still sitting pretty over here. It did keep one of my picks. I forgot that you didn't pick Platte County this year. One of our picks, though, Wichita Northwest, the Grizzlies, went down to Derby in the state quarterfinals, and so that was one that hurt both of us. And I would have been down to just 2 teams left had Platte County not pulled that thing out. Yeah,
is there any one of these still standing that you feel really good about coming out of last week? And again, is there, how much did the Wichita Northwest loss maybe shock you?
It shocked me the way that it went down, right? Like it wouldn't have surprised me necessarily. That's a great Derby program. Obviously we love Coach Clark here. They've got talent there. And so them losing didn't necessarily surprise me. The way that it went down surprised me quite a bit. And there was the really big play, I think, right before halftime where Derby had jumped all over Wichita Northwest early. But it's 35-7. I think Wichita Northwest has a chance to maybe go in and make that thing a game right before half, or at least feel like it was still a game, and you wind up getting a pick six that goes the other way, makes it, I think, 42-7 at half. And so that was my surprise there. The West, we talked about it on our show when we made these predictions. The West was going to be tough to predict because there were several good teams in there. Mays, obviously a really good team, got beat by Manhattan. Manhattan's still there playing Derby for what feels like the 35th year in a row. I do still think that the state title winner in 6A is going to come from the West, even if it's not Wichita Northwest. But was there anything that surprised you at all?
Well, I think for me, not necessarily a surprise, but maybe a surprise that you and I went against the grain so heavily in, again, maybe not sticking with the kind of horses that have been there, which is this team right here in Manhattan. And Gardner Edgerton just continues to get it done. Neither one of us picked either one of those teams. Manhattan's getting healthy at the right time. You talked about Derby. I mean, they're that team that if you see them this late in the bracket, that's probably not a good sign, because that means Coach Clark has some things rolling. And then again, on the east side, I've seen Olathe Northwest. That's a quality team. But Godspeed to them in slowing down the one and only Sire Padilla, because he is on a mission, approaching 3,000 yards rushing right now. And he's doing it behind, I'm just going to say it. It's probably not the best Gardner offensive line or really Gardner team of the last 3, but they get it done. They might have the best will to win of any of the Trailblazer teams that Coach Owens has had. So Godspeed to the Ravens. That's going to be a difficult task. And then, setting up what looks to be possibly another Manhattan Gardner Edgerton final in 6. The only other thing that I wanted to talk about real quick, if we pull up the Missouri Class 6 bracket, because that still has the most Kansas City flavor still alive in it. The Lee Summit Tigers, baby. I love Coach Fergan and Liberty, but we got to give some love here to Lee Summit and this turnaround that Coach Miller has architected. 0-4, Kevin, and we were there when they lost that 4th straight game to start the season at Liberty North. They have gone 7-0 since then. Their first 3 games, that offense scored 27 total points in 3 games. Since then, they are averaging 34. And it is getting Karsten Feeney back healthy. He has been unbelievable wherever they put him. He's played some quarterback, some running back, defense, and then getting Preston Hatfield back.
Yes.
That combination, both twins on the field with he and Peyton. Now you've got the full arsenal. You've got Dayton Masters. You've got Benassi, Will Seiler up front. Like, they are a force to be reckoned with, and they are playing with such confidence. I don't want to say cruising, but getting by North Kansas City the way that they did on the road. Look out for the Tigers, and they're kind of that sleeping giant right now, not to sleep on Jackson. But if there's anybody that's going to ruin my Class 6 prediction at CBC, I think if CBC's got to come on the road west to Kansas City and face that Lee Summit team, look out, Cadets, because, Coach Miller and that squad are playing very hungry and playing very, very good football for Kansas City. So everybody's got their eyes set on Kearney, Platte County, kind of representing Kansas City in Class 4 and Class 5 on the Show Me State side. If there's a team, again, love Coach Fergan and the Liberty Blue Jays, but the Tigers from Lee Summit are playing really well.
Platte County obviously playing very well as well. And after the game, we had a chance to talk with Rocco Marriott, Jack Oots, and Cale Buntz. Stay tuned for those interviews and a look at where we'll be headed this week after this.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
This is the Verbal Commitment Podcast on KCSN. Ryan, we've seen St. James Academy in 7-on-7. We've seen St. James practice. It feels like it's time for us to get out and see the Thunder on a Friday night as they take on 5A East, #1 seed in 11-0 Baser Linwood. We'll talk about some players to watch here in our game of the week in a minute, but Baser's Rod Stahlbaumer and St. James's Tom Radke, you have two tremendously coached teams as well.
Yeah, I mean, they feel like clones of one another. I mean, for years I've been talking about, and we've seen Baser in 7-on-7 as well. And again, that's why I say they feel like clones of each other, because they're super well coached, fundamentally sound, good weight program, like physical kids. But there's like this, and not everybody, right? You can go down the roster and there's some variations, but for the most part, Kevin, both of these teams are just like some of the most athletic, tenacious, again, physical, like they're not shying away from contact, solid football players you can find in 5'11" to 6'1", 180 to 195 pound bodies. There's like tons of those kids on this team. But again, they believe in what both of these two head coaches have built year over year. They buy in, they know their roles. They don't play outside of their roles. They're instinctual. I just think that we are in for a phenomenal game. And again, this is a rematch of the 2024 playoffs when these teams met last year in the postseason. St. James won 37-19. This game, though, Kevin, feels like it might go a little bit more like the COVID year when these two teams met in the playoffs. St. James won that one too, but it was 56-35. It would not surprise me if we're in for another barn burner like that in 2025.
Let's talk about some of the players to watch and go ahead and start with Baser. Ryan, I know we were just talking about the offenses, but let's start with the Baser defensive guy here. When you tell somebody how to watch defensive tape, right, you have to tell them to stop watching the ball.
Yeah.
But if you are watching the ball, you're probably going to see senior linebacker Jacob Sharp pop up on your monitor pretty often.
No doubt. Like, I think, Cooper Ingram is a guy that I think gets the job done up front. And again, they've got some tenacious guys on the back end, but Jacob Sharp is the machine in the middle, folks. He's top 20 in all classes across Kansas in tackles, 100 plus this season. You want to run up the middle, you are going to meet him. And this is a kid that, like, so many times when you watch tape on him, he's giving the directions as the Mike linebacker. He's getting guys set. They'll bring him on blitzes sometimes, or he will just stand there in the middle. And Kevin, I loved watching like the energy that Jacob Sharp brings, because there's this like Ric Flair to him, right? Like he's the guy that like makes the tackle and like popping up like woo, like with the neck roll. Like he's an old school guy that's like, oh man, like thanks for giving me that bruise so I can take an ice bath like later. Like I like this, and he's an old school player, but yeah, forced to be reckoned with in the middle. I mean, if you want to make a big play, you're going to have to get through Jacob Sharp, and that has proven to be a difficult task for opposing offenses.
Moving to the offensive side and what, like you said, could be an offensive showdown, it helps so much to have a weapon like Nash Morrison at wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy. We could have highlighted, and maybe we should have highlighted Carson Dixon, because boy, the quarterback for Baser has just been tremendous this year. Hopefully, he gets some award recognition here in the postseason. He's just done everything. Roman Miller, the tight end, I know is a guy that you and I have kind of chatted about this week. That's like, excited to watch him. I'm excited to see the right guard, Jordan Kramer, like that film for the 2027 guard. But let's get back to it. Nash Morrison. He will surpass 900 receiving yards this week, Kevin. And at his length, like a legit 6'4" kid, deceiving speed for being so tall. He has been a weapon and a game changer. I think his route running surprised me, Kevin. He's got more in his bag than you would think. But again, just the deceiving speed for a guy that's this long. Like this is a play where he should be out of bounds. But he's so fast, he actually can like maneuver himself down the sideline and blow past 4 defenders. He's more than just your typical 6'4" guy. Again, there's route running that you just kind of throw it up to. I expected to see just vertical. He does a little bit of everything and creates after the catch for a guy his size. You see why he's gaining some late traction as a recruit. Look, I'm just going to say it like there are some guys that I think are going to play at the next level, that are going to be playing on both sides in this game. He's a guy, though, that, if I'm a college coach, there's something different, though, about his film than maybe anybody else that we're going to see on Friday night. So he's a guy that I'm personally very excited to see what he can do against a ball-hawking St. James secondary.
You talk about like first step speed, and then a lot of times you talk about top end speed. The thing that jumps out for me with Nash Morrison is the second and third steps.
Yeah.
When he gets off a release, he may be even with that first step, but that second and third step, that's where he's separating from a guy. And I think you make a pretty good living at the next level, being a guy that's really fast with those second and third steps and being able to separate right off of your break like that.
Absolutely.
St. James has an explosive offense of its own. And while people have talked a lot about weapons like John Hornback and running back Jake House, a lot of things start at the point of attack for the Thunder running behind Jack Godar.
Yeah, let's talk about it, man. I love Jack Godar at center. You talked about Hornback and House, and they're like, I look at them as like they're like the law firm, right? The Hornback and House law firm, which has a great ring to it. But I also look at them as like they're St. James's like VIP package, right? Like if they're in the VIP section, you have to get through their bouncer, which is Jack Godar. He is the doorman. And man, he's been terrific. His playoff highlights have been really, really strong, and he's been tested throughout this season. I mean, you're going to see him go in these highlights against the likes of Spring Hill, against Mill Valley last week, and going against a guy like Hayden Heller, and he delivers time and time again. Everything is keyed by Jack Godar. Whether they run through his holes or not, they're there. You see him there, how he diagnoses both pass rushers. He's strong in the pass pro. I think he's been really strong in the run. They'll get him out and swing him outside and get the outside runs going. He's just been really dependable. And here's the thing that why I think Jack Godar, if I'm Coach Stahlbaumer and Baser's defense, why he's so important to try and neutralize if you can. And again, that's easier said than done. We go in each year thinking as outsiders, like St. James, you think of them as like they're high octane because they always have these receivers and they always have a quarterback that's just throwing it all around the field. But Tom Radke's best teams at their core, you think back to their teams, with Tyler Claiborne got all the headlines, that team that won state titles, it was Jimmy White. Like things got started on the run game. they want to be physical in the trenches. Jack Godar starts there, and then Jack Godar helps with pass pro. Like, they want to start things on the ground. If you can try and neutralize Jack Godar and that offensive line, which again, easier said than done, that's how I think you get to St. James. But man, they've been just so good and so balanced all season long on offense.
They want to start on the ground. When Hornback does look downfield, though, you could do a lot worse than the size and top end speed combination that Alec Jett brings. This is a guy that we loved at 7-on-7, and Ryan, the tape has just backed up everything that we loved about Alec.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting to see a premier matchup of wide receivers. Obviously, they won't go against each other, but pray for the corners in this game that get those assignments, because St. James will have to deal with Nash Morrison. Baser Linwood will have to deal with Alec Jett. And here's what's so cool about Alec Jett is last year it felt like it was the Parker Chase, Sam Neeshan show, right? And Alec Jett was like the other guy. And it felt like the other guy delivered a lot last year. Now, this year, you come in and there's a lot of buzz about the Spring Hill transfer, Corey Kirchner, rightfully so. And here's Alec Jett delivering again and again and again. He does it all. He is the Jet of all trades, if you will, for St. James. He too, like Nash Morrison, will surpass 900 receiving yards this week. Strong hands. He's a contested catch guy, but as you see here, he runs hard after the catch. And oh, by the way, he blocks hard. Just laying out on a pancake there. I love that you can, again, the versatility. They will line him up in line. They will get him out. They will run him down, the sideline. They will get him across the middle. And I mentioned the strong hands. He will go up and win contested catch after contested catch. He's a game changer for St. James. And again, he's one of those guys that, I talked about it last week with Brooks Hall. You kind of need to know where he is at all times. With Alec Jett, the Baser Linwood defense will need to know kind of where he's aligned at all times. And maybe a guy like Jacob Sharp can kind of, with his IQ, take tendencies off of that and try and diagnose where the play is going to go. But Alec Jett is a guy that they will need to be aware of in this game.
Alec Jett, by the way, the school record holder, I believe, in the javelin. Can we get this guy running some sprints? Obviously he's a good javelin thrower. No shade meant there, but my gosh, when you're not throwing that spear around, man, hey, hop out there and run some 4x1 for us and let us see, because his top end speed is really, really impressive, the way that he pulls away from guys.
Yeah, I'm very ecstatic for this game. I feel like we're long overdue to get out to see Baser Linwood. I'm excited that we're going up to Baser for this game. I think it's a much better matchup than maybe it appears to the naked eye on paper. I think in years past, look, Baser's been in this situation before, but I remember them having to maybe go to St. James, or, well, not to St. James. They didn't have an on-campus stadium, or going to St. Thomas Aquinas. And I think in the past, there was a vibe, maybe even in Baser, around the community of it was a great season, job well done to this team to get there. I don't think that's the case this year. I think they not only expect to be here, they expect to win now. This is a confident group, and I expect an electric atmosphere out there for this game. St. James has had to work their way to get to this point. How much is left in the tank? We will find out. This is going to be a good one, Kevin.
That was a good one. And Friday night, we had a pretty good one. We spoke with Platte County quarterback Rocco Marriott after his game-winning touchdown run with 2 seconds left and his recent offer from Mizzou. Here's what he had to say. So, Rocco, you get the ball back under 2 minutes left. Every quarterback's dream, right? Where you get to walk into that huddle and have a chance to lead your team to a win.
Yeah, I mean, we knew before they even scored that we were going to have to go score again. We were rallying around each other, and we knew we were going to have to go make it happen. And everybody did a great job playing with tempo, making plays with the ball, and, just came down to that last play. And, it was a team effort, and came out with the win.
Team effort, but you complete a pass to yourself along the way.
Yeah.
Have you done that before?
Never done that before. Never really envisioned doing that before, but it was just instincts.
What did you say to the team in the huddle, or did you feel like you had to say anything?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we all knew what it was. We've been doing this since youth, played together all since youth. But, we were just really saying, our season's not over. We're not ending our season right now. So we all went out there, played with aggression, played fast, and, we really drove down the field and made it happen.
heard you say earlier you didn't feel like you played very well. Obviously, got off to a little bit of a rough start. How big was that touchdown catch by Ty, where he just went up and mossed the kid and made that play?
That was the momentum shifter. I'd been off. We need to be better. Offense, me in particular, we need to be better. But he went up and got that, and that really was the momentum shift. And the defense got a huge stop, go down and score again, and just kept it rolling.
What did you think when you got the play call about the little trick play with all the motion around behind you, the touchdown that you threw to Jack?
Yeah.
When that play call comes in, how do you feel?
I mean, we hadn't even ran the original play because it's kind of a playoff, but I really just trusted the coaches. We always trust the coaches. I knew, they saw something, and we were just going to go out and execute. We practiced it in practice, and just made it go happen.
And then that final drive, a mix of passes and runs. When do you make the decision to kind of take off and use your legs? It feels like maybe you do that a little bit more this year than maybe you did a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the goal is to distribute the ball to the playmakers, but if the defense is going to really try to play back, play cautious, then I just got to go get what I can get. And we did a great job all game of just taking what they gave us. Well, I won't say all game. In the second half, we did a great job, but I'm really proud of the guys.
How do you feel about the defense keeping you guys in it early on?
Amazing. I mean, I'm so proud of them, just the way they've progressed all the way through the summer. I mean, a lot of new faces. We lost a lot last year, but they've done a tremendous job, showing up, playing together. We play well off them, they play well off us, and it's just a team effort.
Obviously we're a recruiting show, and one of the cool things for us has been to see your recruiting attention sort of intensify over the last, few months or whatever. You wind up getting the offer from Missouri, local school and everything. Where are you at with all of that?
That's all in the back of my mind, if I'm being honest. I'm trying really not to worry about that right now because the goal is, the goal was beat Rockhurst. Now the goal is to beat Grand Valley. And, I'm really focused on my team right now and not really worried about recruiting, to be honest.
You guys haven't faced a lot of adversity. You've kind of, I hate to say easy sledding, but you guys have played really well up to this point. Was it, as weird as it sounds, was it kind of nice to find yourself in a position with your backs against the wall and then go out and execute when you needed to?
100%. That's what we live for. The close games. It's cool to go out and win by 50 and, do whatever we want. But it's those games, these games, that's really fun to go. We really test how, what kind of competitors we are. And we did a tremendous job, fighting, staying in it. We're living to play, practicing another Monday.
Kansas commitment Jack Oots also caught a big touchdown in that game and spoke about the win and getting ready to enroll early with the Jayhawks. Here's Jack. All right, Jack, great win, great come-from-behind win. What were you feeling heading into that final drive when you guys are down one with less than 2 minutes left?
Honestly, I wasn't worried at all. We've been here before. We've all been together since 6th grade, and it's one of those things that's like, we're competitors, and that's what's good about our group is we compete no matter the circumstances, no matter what.
You think that's one of the things that makes you guys special is you've had so long to build kind of that bond. You're used to seeing the way that everybody reacts to certain situations.
No doubt.
What did you see from Rocco heading into that final drive?
I know the final drive, he was positive the entire time, like not a doubt in his eyes. And honestly, as a teammate from that, you can tell when that affects your other teammates.
Are you going to tease him a little bit as a receiver since he threw a pass to himself, basically?
No, he has, just about as receptions as me, almost. But yeah, it was a great play. He's a heck of an athlete.
Talk about your touchdown a little bit, because you were talking about how you guys have had that in a playbook for a while. You've run it a little differently in the past, but can you walk us through kind of what happened on that play?
So I saw a safety over, and I knew if I hesitated a little bit, it could get him on his heels. And once he gets on his heels, you can just put him on the burner right away. And with the play action coming to my side, it's pretty much automatic if you hesitate him, and I hesitated him, and it was open. So,
talking to some of the other Kansas commits, there's a thought that you're maybe one of the funniest guys in the group chat. What do you have to say about that?
I just be myself. So if people think I'm funny, I'm happy with it.
Who else would you put in that category?
Oh, that's a good question. Corbin Glasgow's funny. Caden Snyder's funny. Really everyone. It's just a good group of guys. Like, I could go down the list.
Your dad was saying that you guys have been up for pretty much every game so far. What's it been like seeing, the new booth with the renovations? Because when you committed, none of that was done. It was all planned out. You could see drawings, you could see construction, but you couldn't really actually see what it looked like.
It's gorgeous. And especially when you're in the stadium, the high stands and the fans looking over you makes it 10 times louder. So, I mean, that's an atmosphere I'm ready for, and I'm excited to go play in it.
What's your relationship like with Coach Lubick?
It's great. I mean, he calls me almost every week, and it's always the same guy. Like, that's what I like about him. It's never changed. Like, if I have a bad game here and there, he doesn't change. He just knows I'm going to make it better the next week, and that's what makes a good coach.
Obviously, you wound up going against a future teammate tonight in Kevin Sullivan. Were you guys talking it all heading into the game, or was it kind of a, hey, we'll take this week off and we'll talk more after?
Definitely before this week, we were talking a lot about it, and he had some trash to talk, and I had some trash to talk back. But, before the week, definitely. But this week, I was kind of more like, right now he's my enemy. Later, he'll be my friend. So it's just kind of the mindset I had.
Now, I know you're enrolling early at KU. Do you know who your roommates are going to be yet?
It's not official, but honestly, it might be Isaiah Marshall in that group.
Okay.
So they're going to be juniors, I think.
Yeah.
And the backup quarterback, I think it's going to be a great relationship. He's a great guy. It's just kind of worked out with the roommate situation just because they're leaving that semester.
You look a little bit bigger than when we saw you in the spring. What's your height and weight at right now?
I'm at 6'5", 225, and then I clutter down to like 620 and then up to 6'30", or not 220 to 230. But it's in that range. I'm not necessarily been trying to gain weight, but more just kind of maintain. So
obviously you guys won the state title a year ago. How do you stay motivated through this year to kind of repeat, even after winning a year ago?
A lot of people say it's like the defending state champs, but really we're not defending anyone from anything. We have that ring, that trophy in our case, and no one's going to come take it. But now it's a new team, it's a new year, and we're going to do the same thing, or going to try to do the same thing we did last year with the same goal, the same mindset. And it's like, as long as we have that, it makes it easier just to focus on 1 week at a time, making yourselves better every day, and it's easy. So.
And last but certainly not least, we caught up with South Dakota State commitment Cale Buntz, who had a terrific showing against Rockhurst.
Here with Cale Buntz after a monumental victory against Rockhurst. Is that as fun of a football game as you've ever been a part of?
That has got to be number one on my list for fun football games. Yeah.
I got to ask you first, like, this offense gets obviously a ton of hype, a lot of headlines, but how excited were you to see this defense kind of rise to the occasion and give the offense a chance? Because it could have easily been like 21-0 if this defense didn't rise to the occasion in the first quarter, right?
I knew we had it in us all along. Honestly, I wasn't too worried. I knew we had it. I got trust in my guys.
What about your game clicked tonight? It seemed like, especially second half, you found something that you were able to just really pressure the pocket quite a bit. What was working?
I kicked in the next gear, fight or flight mode. I was like, hey, it's on me. I need to go.
What was the locker room like at halftime? I'm curious kind of what was the conversation amongst players and what was the message from Coach Utes?
Amongst players, I was talking to my buddy. I knew we had it. I had faith in the offense. It was quiet. Coach Utes came in, told us what we need to fix. We came out, did that.
What makes this team different than last year's team?
We're all one class. We're all seniors. Got that brotherhood. We played with each other for so long. I think that's that chemistry.
Coming off the field after that crazy fourth down play, Rockhurst goes up. I know you're disappointed as a defense, but were you kind of looking at Rocco on the offense, kind of saying, like, with some confidence?
Yes, absolutely. I knew he had it. Gave him a handshake. I sat down on the bench, knew he had it.
It worked out well, didn't it? I mean, again, you guys kind of bailed the offense out at times in the first half. They come out, and when the game on the line, they kind of make it happen, and Platte lives to see another night.
Absolutely.
How excited are you guys to, again, just play with this team another week, another game?
That's our goal. That's what we say. Win in advance. That's our motto for our defense. So.
And then, last but not least, this is going to sound weird, but did it feel good to maybe taste some adversity? You know, at times this season, you guys are maybe starters might only play 3 quarters or a half. Did tonight, in a weird way, feel good for this team?
The adversity, I've longed for that for 24 games. We finally got it. Yes, it's amazing.
Last but not least, we're a recruiting show a little bit. How's recruiting going for you? Give the fans a little idea about how that process is moving forward for you.
I'm committed to South Dakota State. Happy where I am. Haven't gotten any other attention, but yeah, happy where I'm at.
I was going to say, I wanted to ask just because I saw the gloves, so I wasn't sure if maybe anything was percolating there.
Oh, no, that's Jack Boots. The only ones that fit me.
Gotcha. Awesome. Cale Buntz, living to see another day with Platte County.
And that was our trio of interviews with Platte County standouts. This has been the Verbal Commitment Podcast on KCSN. Thanks to all of you for following along. If you enjoyed what you saw or heard, leave us a comment or a review, like this video, subscribe here on YouTube, or hit us with a 5-star rating if you're listening on an audio platform. And until next time, we'll see you on the trail, and take care.